Go ahead.
Good morning, baseball fans. It's another episode of Around the Diamond with Grand Slam Sam and Baseball Bill. And we have a special guest joining us today in the clubhouse. But let's get this going. Bill, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning?
Hey, I'm awake, alive, and alert. I'm ready to go. I'm excited about our special guest today. He cracks me up every Wednesday night when he does his lives, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yes, we will. And we have got some crazy stuff to talk about from the past week and going into this next week, as it is finally winter meetings week. Thank God we're here. I do want to just take a quick moment of silence and recognize the recent passing of the man behind me, Gaylord Perry, legend in baseball, phenomenal pitcher, stand-up giant, played on multiple teams, but was an exemplary player, and he will surely be missed in the baseball community. Bill, I know as a Dodger fan, I'm sure you had a lot of your team had a lot of great battles against Gaylord that you wish not to remember. But
he's a
yeah,
great pitcher. He's a great pitcher, and he was a great ambassador for the game. So I'm not even gonna stop that and deny that. I mean, he was a
100%,
great pitcher, great ambassador for the game. But
100%.
let's
So
introduce.
let's get into this.
Let me introduce our guest.
Who we got?
Jason Beck. Jason, how are you this morning?
I'm doing tremendous. I'm doing really great. I appreciate you guys having me on this morning and inviting me in to have some baseball talk.
Absolutely. Now Jason and I met through social media. Jason runs a site called Bourbon and Baseball on Instagram, so you're going to want to follow him. Every Wednesday night, he does this fantastic live, and it's just kind of picked up this momentum and steam, and I'm loving watching it because he gets a couple of guys on there, or sometimes I'll have a couple of guys, a gal or two on there, whatever, and he just goes after like different topics, water cooler debates. He always has a fun little segment that we'll talk about another time, but he's phenomenal. So Jason, I'm so glad that you joined us today. I'm excited to hear your thoughts and things and see where we take this. It's gonna be fun.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Yeah, Jason, very really happy to have you on. So, like you said, let's get right into the conversation. So, couple of big transactions that happened this past week. I'll take you through those real quick. So last night, breaking news: Jake DeGrom has left New York. One of the big Titans has left the Big Apple, signing a 5-year deal with a 6-year option with Texas. I look at this as more of an upside for him than it is possibly for Texas. I think he's looked for a deal that was long enough that he could finish his career wherever he goes. And I think for him, Texas was a good up-and-coming team. So congratulations to him. The Mets have a lot of work to do now in that pitching pitching that they need to look after. Jose Abreu going to the Astros on a 3-year contract. Kind of took me a little bit by surprise. Didn't even hear anything in the rumor mill about the Astros talking to him, so kind of was a shocker. Clevenger with a 1-year deal to the White Sox. Nothing crazy there. I think he's looking for a prove-it deal to really get his name back out there and bring it back up to the standing that it was a couple of years ago. And then also yesterday was a 2-player trade from the Mariners and the Brewers for Colton Wong. So Colton Wong will officially be a Mariner as of yesterday. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on some of these moves that happened in the last week?
Texas is really spending so much money, whether it's the Rangers or the Astros. Those guys are, they just reload, man. The Rangers have been making moves since before they got Seager, when they landed Semien and Seager, and they've been building it. They're building their brand, and they're building their type of baseball, and they're really gonna be competitive next year. I think they're, as long as DeGrom stays healthy, he may play out the 5 years with the Rangers. If he doesn't remain healthy, not so sure he's gonna, finish out the 5. but that remains to be seen. But I'm hoping that he's as healthy as he's ever been. It would be great to see him be successful, and and come right in there and just kind of fall right into place in a pennant race, for a change, and I mean, he had that experience with the Mets, and he had a really good shot, but they have a lot of work to do now that he's gone. But I think, for him, again, it's a big win-win for him if he's successful. And the Rangers are taking a good chance at it. Clevenger,
I completely agree.
Clevenger, the White Sox, not that big a deal to me. I'm not a big Clevenger fan. I think there's just too much going on with him and all of his pre-pitch shenanigans that he focuses too much on that instead of, just getting the ball and pitching. 1 year gives him a chance to prove something. If he's not, if the White Sox are out of it in July, they'll trade him at the trade deadline to get something out of him in return. But the Mariners, boy, they aren't messing around. And now I think they're still going to make another outfield move because they traded Winker, because they added Winker in that deal. Lots of people thought he was going to remain a Mariner and stay there, and they gave him only 1 year. But I think there's something in the works with them that's going to have them fill that outfield spot when they got rid of him. So could that be Aaron Hicks? It could be.
Yeah. So Jason, let me ask you this question, because we talked about it offline first. Rangers get better. Obviously, if Jacob deGrom is decent, and healthy, Rangers get better. Astros get themselves a little younger, right? Their first baseman's now 36, not 39, and Jose Abreu. So you've got the Rangers, and you've got the Astros, and you've got the Mariners all getting better. How about the Angels? What's going on?
It's a shame that we're not hearing the Angels are in talks with, or the Angels are considering going after XYZ player. It's just we deserve to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. There's nothing that I would rather see than see him have a lot of success and go deep in the playoffs. But if you're sitting there watching the Mariners get better, watching the Rangers get better, and you guys are adding Hunter Renfroe, I'm not so sure that I think we're playing for third place again, and third place doesn't get you even in the wild card. So I feel that and again, they're in limbo with their management, with their ownership. And if you sign with them at this point, are you really gonna, if you sign with Artie, is it gonna stay? How's that gonna work out? So there's a little bit of, I guess, it's easy for a player to kind of play into that and pay close attention to how that may play out. So they may be a little bit reluctant to sign a deal now.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring up Trout. Trout has only played in the playoffs in one season as an Angel. And I just looked it up. He was the last out in 2014 when the Royals swept the Angels in the 3-game series.
Long time ago. That's a long time ago.
So, yeah, so I agree with you. I mean, the Angels have had so much potential. I think they're that team that you look at the beginning of the year and you're like, well, on paper, there's really no question. And then the season comes and you're like, who is this team? Because on paper, they're not playing as they should be playing. And it's just so shocking to see that, and someone like Trout, who will probably go down as one of the best players in baseball, definitely in that top 25 players of all time in baseball, in my opinion. The man may never win a World Series. He may never see another postseason if the Angels don't do something. So I agree with you completely that they need to start making some moves. I don't know if it's dishing out Ohtani and just bringing in a ton of good prospects. I don't know if it's finally opening up the wallet, but I agree. They need to be in some type of discussion. because it's looking scary for him.
Right? They're already playing for 2024.
Exactly. So
I love it. I love it.
Let's keep it moving. Let's talk about some rumors here. So Bill, take us through some of the rumors we're seeing from
So
that have been
obviously,
coming up.
the Phillies are trying to figure out who they want at shortstop. They're going to meet with all four of the superstars, right? Cody Bellinger still, rumor mill has it still him in talks with Toronto, Texas, the Cubs, and the Giants. The Giants would be a good suitable choice for him if you guys can't land Aaron Judge. That will be a discussion in a second here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aaron Judge, San Francisco or New York, and we're going to get into that in a second. And then JV, New York, LA, Houston, possibly the Mets. I don't see the Mets. I don't know. It'll be interesting there. But like I said, if JV wants the size of the contract that he wants, I want Kate Upton at all 81 home games wearing a Dodger jersey, jumping up and down. That's my caveat right there. Right. So, if I'm going to pay you $40 million, Kate's showing up to every game. What do you think, Jason? Seems like a fair compromise, right?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
What do you think of some of these rumors? Where are you seeing, Jason, with some of these rumors? Are you seeing some of these? I mean, obviously, you and I are going to talk about the third option here in the next 2 to 3 minutes. But let's just put the Aaron Judge thing aside. Looking at the Verlander, Bellinger, and Phillies shortstop situation, do you think these are realistic options for these teams? Do you think some of these teams are just thinking way too outside the box?
I believe that I can see Cody Bellinger playing in Toronto. I can see him playing in Toronto because they dealt Teoscar, and there's an available spot in center field there. And so I would like to see him. I think that he's a great player. I still think he has a lot of upside in him. Toronto's willing to take that chance. I think he would fit in there with Bichette. I think he would fit in there with Vladdy Jr. I think he would fit in there with Kirk, and I think that his makeup seems to be fit to what the Blue Jays are dealing with. And they just hired Donnie Mattingly for their hitting coach, so he definitely would be helping out Cody Bellinger with his offensive hitting strategies at this point. So I think that San Francisco, that could be an option as well, an in-division option. But for me, my eyes are fixed on seeing what happens and what Toronto does when they're here in San Diego for the meetings. I think they may pull that trigger.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, and I think while I agree with you, Bill, that the Mets are kind of a 50-50, like maybe on Verlander, I think after last night, Verlander does become a more higher expectation than we previously thought, because I think they really thought they were going to get DeGrom back, but now that they lost him, I think they're going to come out aggressive, knowing he only wants a 3-year contract, and that's what they offered DeGrom. So I think looking at it from that perspective, there is the chance, not a strong chance. I'm not giving him it's a guarantee, but I do think there is a strong chance that the Mets become more involved in those conversations than previously exercised.
Very good possibility, but I'm going to add a but in 20 seconds here. But you got to remember a couple things. One, they have Max Scherzer, who has some arm issues, right? And then now, if you added JV to that lineup, you're adding a 39-year-old coming off Tommy John, albeit he just won the Cy Young, but coming off Tommy John, a guy that's looking for 56 wins. That's all he has to get to 3,000 or to get to 300. He's looking for 56 wins. Do the Mets supply enough offensive power for him to get there? And what's that look like? So you're right. The Mets might be in the discussion, but if I'm looking at it at Yankees, Dodgers, Houston. The Mets are down there someplace.
I agree with you. Now, give me just one quick second, guys. I am so sorry. Making little bits of errors on my end, technical difficulties, got to get them fixed up because I don't want to have any issues going into this next segment. I got to make sure we are squared away because this next segment is going to be a conversation Bill has been dying to have with us.
Jason, true story.
Yes.
Last week, he put up all the available free agents and what their categories were and how much they were worth and everything. And he put up Aaron Judge as a Giant, just so that you know. So if you go back and watch last week's segment.
Well, we're going to play. Well, that was an error. But the technical error from this week was the fact that I had to put this slide above the other slide. So we are going to play GM for a day. Bill, take us through GM for a day.
Okay, so I'm excited. You Top Fan Rivalry followers, you are going to love me for this. On purpose, as you know, Grand Slam Sam is a huge Giants fan, and it goes back into the New York days. So you got to give him love there. And Jason Beck is a huge Yankee fan. Well, of course, the biggest free agent out there is All Rise Aaron Judge. So why not on a Saturday morning get a couple of boys in here to talk about it? So
we're going to get into a huge heated fight. We're never going to speak again.
No. So here's what we're going to do, boys. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. We're going to play GM for the day. Jason, I'm going to start with you, and then Sam, I'm going to ask you the same question. Okay. If you are a GM for a day, Jason, on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being you back up the truck, you do everything you can, how hard are you going after Aaron Judge?
10. I'm bringing the big guns with me, baby. We made the preliminary offer months ago, which of course he turned down. But the deal the other day, 8 years, 300. I mean, that's a stepping stone. You know, that's like a starting point. Now we're going to see what the Giants have to counter with, and then the Yankees are going to, counter back with another offer. 300 isn't going to be the final figure. There's no doubt. But if we want Aaron Judge back, let's do the 8-year, $300 million. Let's give him a percentage of the gate after 1.5 million fans, and let him walk out and pick his spot for his monument in Monument Park. That seals the deal.
There you go. And make him captain, right?
Slap a C on his chest. That would work as well. I think that would be, that would be another, game changer. But you can, fly back to San Francisco and visit your family at home whenever. But I mean, working out, I think thinking about the percentage of ticket after 1.5 million adds something that maybe some people haven't thought about. But I believe that Reggie Jackson did that when he first came to Anaheim and signed with the Angels. He worked that into his contract as well. And it kind of protected him on the back end and made the deal more solid for him throughout his time in Anaheim. He performed, people came. And so same thing with Aaron Judge. You give me a percentage of the gate after so many fans. If we're playing and we're performing and we're in first place, you're going to come and watch me play. And then, that's going to just add some more to my contract.
That's more value. I love that. Sam, same question.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't think there's a number obviously you unload the gun. You unload it on him. I mean, look, the Giants are playing to his history. They're playing to his family. I mean, he grew up a lifelong Giants fan. He grew up in the Bay Area. His family lives there. His wife lives there. I mean, they are going to play that home close to the vest so hard. And you're right. You're probably going to have to wheedle into the you're going to have to fix into the contract a percentage of the gate. It's going to save him. He wants the long term. I think that's the biggest thing. And, the 8 years is what he wanted. There's no question he wanted the time. I think there's a lot I think there's still a lot that's gonna go into it. The one thing with the Giants is that they like to keep their numbers close to home. And when I say that, what I mean is they're not gonna come out and just, I don't believe they're gonna just release what they're offering him to the public. They're not just gonna come out like what the Yankees did and say, our new offer is $300 million for 8 years. They're gonna, you know, keep it quiet. Try to, really play this under the radar with number offers, because they really want to show Aaron that by coming home they're going to value him more. So I think there's a lot that's going to play into this. I don't just think it's going to, yes, is getting a monument in Monument Park and being a Yankee something to be, hugely commemorative about? Absolutely. But you also have to, in my opinion, take a look at certain things and say, what's really, forget the fact that I could have a monument in Monument Park. What do I really want? What are things that I grew up really wanting as I got older and being a professional baseball player? I mean, look, Bryce Harper had the opportunity to go to the Yankees and he went to Philly. Mm-hmm. He had the opportunity to go to LA and he went to Philly. And it's not, and I mean, and the Yankees offered Bryce Harper almost as much money as they're offering Aaron Judge right now. So, it's not, to me, it's not just all about Monument Park. Sometimes having that long-standing history behind your team and having a fan base that is so passionate about your team in even a smaller market area could even be more impactful, in my opinion, than having such a big market team and being so impactful, because when you're in those big high-inducing situations, the spotlight's on you more, and if you start to mess up, it's going to just, you're going to get penalized. I mean, and we saw it with Aaron Judge in the postseason. That's my opinion.
All right, perfect. So now here's the second question, because it goes to the Aaron Judge topic. So Jason, you do sign Aaron Judge. Then where are your untouchables? What are your moves going to be to make so that you can A, compete, but B, make sure that you field enough of a team where it gets you to the dance. It gets you at least into October to have that question, because now you're going to have a tremendous amount of money out there. What are you doing? What are you doing differently? And kind of, if you've got to move pieces around, who are your untouchables?
Nobody's untouchable, man. If I'm walking into the owners meetings in San Diego and I'm in my Bermuda shorts and my flip flops and I got the bullfrog on my nose, I'm wheeling and dealing, man. There's nobody that's off limits. All I need to be focused on is re-signing Aaron Judge. Gleyber, who wants to take Gleyber off of our hands? Please, we'll package him in a deal with some minor league pitchers for you right now. Let's send him wherever you guys want. Donaldson and Hicks are really kind of the thorns in the side right now because of their poor performance, because of their contractual language. They're kind of tied in deep with the Yanks. But again, somebody will be able to take on the Yanks will probably have to pay their contract to get rid of them. But again, there's enough guys and, they have enough minor league pitching guys that they can package them in a deal. But those guys need to go. Anybody can go. And if somebody Cabrera and Peraza, those are the two young guys that they're trying to move toward. It would be interesting to see where they kind of fit. But I think re-signing Benintendi is kind of going to be important because he fits into the Yankee mold of getting, he can hit the ball out in that short right field porch and he can stay healthy. It's a good contact hitter. But for me, the biggest focus is anybody is available. Let's make a deal. We have a lot. Chapman, I hope he does. He's definitely not coming back, but please take him. Somebody sign him so that we don't have to worry about it. I'm dealing anybody. I'm looking for bullpen help, of course, because Chapman's not coming back. We got a few of the middle relief guys that are free agents as well. And we're probably going to lose Tyone. So if we lose Tyone, there again gives us an opportunity to go, if we need a plan B at all, to go straight after Verlander, Bogarts, and bullpen help. So, I'm coming in there and I'm ready to rock and roll, man. I got a taco man out in the front parking lot. I got my flip flops and my shorts on, and let's go talk some business. Let's make deals happen.
Let's make deals happen. So let me ask you a quick caveat question to that, and then Sam, same question to you in a second. So Jason, as you've got your flip flops and your board shorts on and everything, and you're enjoying it, somebody comes up to you and says, "I got," and I don't care who the pitcher is or whatever hole you want to fill, but I want Giancarlo Stanton, and I want to talk to you about Anthony Rizzo. Are you going to have those conversations?
I would gladly deal Stanton.
Okay.
Rizzo's staying. I would keep Rizzo over Stanton in a second. Years ago, I even said that we could trade Stanton straight up for Chris Bryant. This was probably 3-4 years ago. He's been great. He was great in Miami, but I've never seen the effort out of him. I've never seen the urgency out of him from day one that he's put on a Yankees uniform. I just don't get it with him. He's kind of an enigma for me. I'm not the biggest fan. He's dangerous. He's dominating at times, but I've never seen that sense of urgency out of him to want to be in the lineup, to need to make an adjustment at the plate, to do what he has to do to help the team out. It's just been grip it and rip it from day one. So, again, I'm dealing him as well. And if you want to take one or two of our middle pitchers with you, go for it.
Yeah. I think it has to do with the fact that they can't find him a jersey that fits. You find him a jersey that fits, maybe that works out. But
yes, that is tough.
All right, Sam, same question to you. You land Aaron Judge. Okay. Now what do you got to do? Now what do you got to do to build around it? Because now you got an awful lot of money going out between he and Jock, who you guys just re-signed. So now what are you doing? Where are you going? And who are your untouchables?
So, I mean, I think you said it perfectly right there. The only money we've spent is, currently, as we speak right now, the only money we've spent is on Jock, and that's $20 million. The Giants possibly have one of the largest payrolls available in baseball right now.
Okay.
You got a lot of money to spend. It's we've got a lot of guys off of long-term those guys that were on long-term contracts are gone. We've released players, so we've paid their buyouts, but we've gotten that money back. We don't have Rendon's option. We're probably gonna most likely let go of La Stella. The guy that we've got the biggest contract on right now, next to Jock, is Brandon Crawford, and we've got him for one more year. And after that, he's a free agent. So, looking at it, we got a lot of guys in arbitration. We got a lot of young guys that are still coming up. We got I am confident in our farm system that we got, especially after this last draft, that we pulled in a lot of good young guys that I could see coming up in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think in my focus, I would obviously Judge is someone I feel we really need to sign, because I think he's going to bring that superstardom excitement back that we had in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Barry era, right in the start of the Buster Posey era, right in that 2009 to 2014 stretch of the World Series and all of that. Right. We really haven't had a superstar on the team. We've run with a lot of mid-card players. That's what we've run with. I'm not even going to shy around it. The Giants have run with a number of mid-card players doing the best that they can. And I think having a guy like Aaron Judge, who is a powerhouse, who maybe won't hit 60 home runs in a season in San Francisco, will still have great seasons. He'll be a great veteran presence for these younger guys who may be struggling at the plate, because Judge is a batter. He's a great batter. I'm not going to take anything away from his from his bat. He's got a lot of length, so his fielding is great, and he's tall as heck. So I could right in the arches in right field. Oh my God, I'd love to see those long arms stretching above the arches, picking up fly balls. I'm all over that. I think after that, I think they do get a couple of pitchers on some shorter contracts, maybe 3-4 year contracts. I could see them doing a big deal with Judge. I could see them seeing what happens with this shortstop quadrant right now, the 4 big shortstops, and then possibly coming into one and saying, hey, are you open to moving to second base for a year and then taking back your traditional position next year?
Okay.
And I think that is where the Giants will try to surround themselves.
Yeah. So final question, the GM for the day. Okay, because we could do this all day. And fellas, this is fun, but I was a little surprised that neither one of you said this, but I'm gonna bring it up.
You're gonna pull it out of us. I'm confident in that.
Okay, so here's the thing. Both of you arguably play in the toughest divisions in baseball. Okay, the Yankees, every single team on the Yankees, every single team on the in that division, I'm sorry, is playoff contenders, Orioles included. Okay.
Absolutely.
And in the National League West, you have the Dodgers, you have the Padres, and don't sleep on the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are pretty awesome. They're young, but they're gonna make their way. So here's my question, boys. You ready? Okay. Are you concerned? So just yes or no, and then give me a 30-second, 45-second. Are you concerned with your pitching on either team? Like, for example, with New York, Nasty Nestor is untouchable to me, because I think that guy brings the bacon, when he pitches, Jason. That's just me. But are you concerned about your pitching? And if you are, why? Or if you're not, why?
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Absolutely. I'm concerned about my pitching. I'm a pitching guy, so I'm always concerned about my pitching and the depth of my staff. Garrett Cole's too much for me. He's never been a solid one starter. He skates the ice between domination and then all of a sudden giving up the gate in 1/3 of an inning. He does that way too much. We're probably going to, like I mentioned earlier, lose Tyone to free agency as well. He's probably going to demand $40 or $50 million somewhere. So yeah, I'm a little bit always concerned about my pitching. We need to have another number 1 frontline starter in there. We have to be able to bring somebody in. Will it be Rodon, or what's Carlos Rodon? Yeah, right. Rondon, or what's his name?
Rodon.
Right. But if we have to go after Verlander, I'm willing to pay him 3 years, 120. But we have to have another top-notch starter in there. Nestor Cortez is a stud. Nestor Cortez, nobody is going to touch Nestor Cortez because he's just so even keeled. He brings it every single time out there when he pitches. He's just kind of, changed his game he couldn't stay on a team a few years ago, man. And so he has, again, done what many, many Yankee players have refused to do. And he's made an adjustment in his makeup so that he can stay relevant and he can become an important part of that Yankee team. So any part of the Yankee guys that are not willing to make those adjustments to make the team better, they got to go.
Yeah, I like it. Sam, same question to you. Are you concerned about your pitching? If so, why? Or if not, why?
I feel every team, no matter what, should always be concerned with pitching. There's no question in my mind that every team, no matter who you have, you should always be concerned with pitching, because all it takes is one wrong throw for Tommy John to become inevitable, for your shoulder to pop out, for you to tear your bicep, your tricep. Anything can happen. So in my opinion, pitchers next to possibly catchers are the most concerning positions you have to be worried about when you're putting a team together, because you got to worry about the pitcher throwing out their arm and you got to worry about the catcher getting leveled. Now, looking at I am looking at the current free agent pitchers out there. And after Noah Syndergaard, I don't know almost any of them. None of them. So there's really 4 top pitchers out there right now. You got, and this one wouldn't really even consider a top pitcher. I'd probably consider him the lowest of the top pitchers. You got David Price.
He'll retire.
Verlander, Rondon, and Syndergaard. And then you've got Greinke in there. Then you've got Mike Minor in there. You've got Chris Bassett. You've got some good guys in. You got Corey Kluber hidden in there. But, for the Giants, yeah, I'm worried about our pitching, but I do know we have a lot of youth coming up and a lot of good youth in our farm system that has really started to really take shape and mature. So I'm excited to see this coming spring how our youth has really matured over the last 2 years. But, for the Giants, Rodon has still been an option. He has expressed that he would love to come back to San Francisco if it's a longer-term deal. Obviously, I'd love Verlander. I don't see that being an option, though. I do think Verlander is going to command too much, especially because right now his market value is about $45.3 million. That's what he's commanding right now annually. Rodon,
that's 81 games with Kate Upton in the seats too, by the way. That's why you get that.
Rodon is looking at about 32.4 million. So, I think Rodon becomes a more viable option. However, I also won't count out Noah Syndergaard, because I think if you put Noah Syndergaard in a good pitcher's park, he will become what he was with Philly right before, or with the Angels before he got traded to Philly. I think Syndergaard could bounce back. He's only 30, so he's really in the prime of his career. He's starting the prime of his career. And I think, like I said, going to a pitcher's park in a new city could be a good start for him. And that's where I'll end my comments.
Jason, you look at these numbers right here on the screen. Isn't it insane when you go back and you think 20 years ago, 25 years ago with Nolan Ryan and some of these cats? Their market value. Are you kidding me? You look at these numbers and you just got to shake your head and go, what happened?
And yeah, I want to bring something up real quick, and you brought it up, Jay. You brought it up. Giancarlo Stanton I've never actually been a huge fan of him. I'm happy the Giants never picked him up when he was on the trade block. I'm really happy. He was the start of this huge mega million monster contract phenomenon, if you recall, when he was still with Miami. And in my opinion, I don't think he's played up to it at all on any team he's played
on. I completely agree. As you obviously could tell in my discussion of him, but yeah, I just, we also, sometimes people forget that the Yankees make deals so that other teams don't get guys. Yeah. And so they don't necessarily go after them because they just have to have them and want them. They'll pull the trigger so that Boston doesn't get somebody, and so that somebody else in the AL East doesn't make that move, so that it hurts them in the long run. And I think that's really what what was that?
They're being more strategic. They're literally trying to ensure domination, which is great. That's smart.
Yeah. And so, that I think that's the nuts and bolts of why he ended up in New York. It wasn't so much that they couldn't wait to get him in the lineup. It's just so much that they didn't want him to beat them and have him hurt them if he's playing for Boston, let's say.
I agree. And as Bill said, we could talk about this for hours. You and me could go back and forth on
Absolutely.
being GX for a day. I mean, again, I passed on my opportunity. I wanted to do what I'm currently doing now. The multi-million-dollar contracts I thought were just not exorbitant enough for my taste. So I had to pass on it. But you know, we can always jump back into this conversation. Maybe Bill will be kind enough to bring you and me onto a call
Are
this
you
week
kidding me?
while the
I can't wait to
are
get you
going.
guys back on. We gotta.
That'll be great.
But you know, we can only keep this to about 30 minutes. So we do, unfortunately, top fans and around the diamond fans have to wrap this up. So Bill, give us a quick overview of what we're looking at this week coming into the podcast world.
So we got Antonio. He's a high school athlete out of Arizona area. I just finished up my interview with him. Phenomenal high school athlete, phenomenal kid, great guy. You're going to hear about him, you know, probably in the draft, pretty soon. I'm going to do a Bills Corner on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got a Cardinals fan coming in. We got contemporary era stuff coming in on Thursday. Friday, we got Angel fans. I've got about a dozen podcasts already lined up or that have already been filmed. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Just because the winter meetings are gone and there's no baseball to watch doesn't mean that you don't have stuff to listen to for Top fans. So I promise you that. And I promise you we'll get either a live together or another podcast with Sam and Jason and let them have at it. Once Aaron Judge is signed and he's back in the Bronx, that's when we'll get Sam and Jason back on.
We'll see.
I think that'll be fun.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Bill,
Good.
you and I may have to make a little friendly wager.
There you go. There you go. Jason, I don't know about you, but I think that he can afford the flight home on $300 million. What do you think?
I think so. Absolutely. He can,
I don't think he'll
he
need
can get his own
look, if he
plane.
goes back to New York, he won't need to afford the flight. Steinbrenner will send the private jet.
There you go.
Exactly. He'll have his
There you
own
go.
plane.
All right. And so wrap this up. I want to thank Sam. I want to thank Jason. Jason, specifically you. Thank you for coming on today as our guest. You have been phenomenal. I always love your insights. You're phenomenal. For those of you that have heard this before, locker room access, 3 key things are going to drop in the locker room today. 1, you're going to see this around the diamond. It's going to be up. 2, I have an article going up today that is discussing different things about options and non-tendering and just helping everybody understand that concept. And number 3, Sarah from Daddy-O Sports Cards wrote an article about the business of baseball versus fandom, taking it from the perspective of the fan, not having as much of the ability to bring a family to a game because it's gotten so expensive. So phenomenal article. You don't want to miss that one. I promise you those all 3 will be up. In addition, behind the locker room access, you'll have a top fan article or an article up at least once a week by me. And then when obviously the season starts, life will be good. And we're going to have a bunch more up there. So check that out. For those of you that are familiar with the Founders Club, get access, get yourself going. So anyways, Top Fan rivalry followers around the diamond, we love you. We appreciate you. Jason, thanks for being on this morning. And we'll do this again real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
See you on the field, everyone.
All right.